Okay, everybody, welcome to day number 3, actually, of our Google Forms class, our Google Apps Drive class, where we're focused on forms. We're going to look at some of the forms. Well, I hope to look at all of the forms that were created by the different teams. The first one we have is an add insertion form, and the key thing to remember when you're doing forms is always have somebody responsible for being the proofreader. If one person is not responsible, if everybody's responsible, it's not going to happen, because you're going to expect the other person is going to catch the punctuation or grammar errors. In this form, you know, we start out okay on the first one that sets the pace and the tone. So it's capital letter for company, lowercase for name, then it has a period. The very next line, though, under contact person, the capital of the first one is gone, the period is still there. We come to the third line, it's back to capitalized, but there's no period. Okay? So at this point, the person looking at the form will absolutely notice that, and they'll be making all kinds of judgments about the company. So if it's an add insertion, you can't do the punctuation right, they're probably going to think the ad's going to be screwed up. Okay? And so my only point, and I'm sure that everyone else who does this is going to have grammar and punctuation errors, unless you're scurrying right now to fix and correct. Okay? Okay, good. So this just comes under lesson learned. Okay? Now, for the people here in Las Vegas, the fourth question goes completely off from add insertion and gets to book sales. So we're going to ignore that because that's not part of the form. We get down to payment method, cash, company check, credit card, other. Now, we come to a fundamental flaw in a form. How are you going to pay cash?
Money order. Is that considered cash?
No. Cash is cash.
Cold hard cash. I mean, unless there was a salesperson there.
I thought we were going to send salespeople out.
Okay. So then you would put in parentheses salesperson. So yeah, the idea.
Next to cash.
Yeah. You know, give it to the salesperson. You know, must be delivered to salesperson at time of order. Must be turned in at time of order. Something like that. So when you're creating a form, the key thing is it also has to be logical and not leave any questions. Our goal, and the goal, I think, for the future, is all salespeople will have a smartphone or a tablet. That smartphone or tablet should have order forms on it, invoices on it. Today, or I would say for all of us on this call, we remember these NCR paper order forms, contract, invoice things, sales slips, etc. Little pads you can buy at Staples for order forms or receipts. Those days are going away. One day in the future, it's going to be commonplace, like when I rent a car right now, when I go to get my receipt, they say, do you just want me to email it to you? And I say, yes, please, because I don't want to be carrying pieces of paper around. I don't want to have to, well, what do I do with this receipt now? Do I turn it in? Do I file it? Do I throw it away? Do I fold it up and leave it in the car? What do I do with this thing? In the future, or it's just so much more convenient to email it to me, right? Because if I ever want to find that receipt, what do I have to do? Dave, what do I have to do?
Yeah, go through all.
No, if I have it sent as an email, what do I have to do to get it? Okay, what if I can't find it?
Just search.
Search, exactly. I just put in Google search, Fox rental car, all of the things come up. I look for one with an attachment, and done. I'm off to the races. So, okay, color scheme, black and white. All right, so so what else can we say? Not inspiring. Aesthetically, this is not inspiring. Okay? Always have to remember, how many people in here saw the Apple movie? Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
Okay. Does anybody remember at the beginning when he's introducing the what was it? iPod. Before he pulled it out, how did he describe it?
It's like having 1,000
He
songs.
described an emotion.
Correct.
Oh, that's
He
fine.
described an emotion. It's a thing of the heart. It's a tool for the heart. Okay? So we will be watching a TED Talk, or maybe we have, by Simon Sinek about why successful companies do, how they lead. And it's, you don't tell people what you do, you tell them why. You tell them what you believe. You tell them why you do it. And Apple tells people they are an innovative company. He starts talking about Apple's a computer company like anybody else. They buy parts, they do, whatever. The thing is the same, but people see Apple differently because Apple appeals to your emotional side. And when we're getting people to do this is an emotional thing. I think the next form should also aesthetically be good, to be soothing and calming, and you're in good hands with your doctor is what the form should say. Should lead people to be should be very simple, very intuitive. When people are filling out the medical form, when they get into the doctor's office, you don't want them to get frustrated and confused. What do I do now? Oh, this is so frustrating. You want them to say, wow, this is cool. If this is what my experience is going to be like when I go to my doctor, if the rest of my time here is going to be like this, wow, I have the greatest doctor in the world. But if it's hard and it looks scary, it doesn't look friendly, then it's not going to be good. Okay, so okay, so we're going to move on to the next one. Okay, the next one is here, Marion. Marion and Troy. Well, shared with me. Okay, so do you see it now? Looks like this. So the starting point is,
I didn't see that. You gotta go to where it says add new and stuff.
Add new.
Add new.
What does that mean? Okay, so here's one.
It's like
First
F5.
impressions. It has color, and the colors look. Purple is a royal color. It's a color that connotes value.
Yes.
Okay, so that's good. The you guys can follow just on here. I'll be pointing things out. You don't have to be watching it, and you don't have to be able to read it because I'll describe these things. Would you like to buy one of our books?
Okay.
Okay, again, we missed the point that this is for ad insertion, not for buying books. What part?
That part. So the book's here, how many ads?
Oh, this is.
I put two questions. One being number of ads per book, and then the immediate next question is how many books do you wish this ad/ads?
Okay, so presumably, okay, remember, okay, here's an important thing for everyone that's involved in anything having to do with sales. And I can assure you, if you go work for a company, that's in private business, they're selling something.
Okay, but how
Right, Matt? They're selling something. By definition, any business is selling something. So that means there's a salesperson involved, or they already know what the product is. Okay, the Coca-Cola salesman is really an order taker now, because they know what Coca-Cola is. It's, do you want Coke? You want to reorder Coke. It's not, here's this great thing, it's like water, but it's not water, it's not clear, it's got bubbles in it, it's sweet, has this. They don't do that with Coca-Cola because everybody knows it. That's a reorder
I
form.
did my circle right
Okay, let's focus on this because, Scott, you're going to start asking questions about what we're doing now
Yeah, you're
because
right.
you're not listening to what we're doing now. We're not going to go back. So for purposes of this is an ad insertion order form, we are going to have a salesperson. The person who's placing the ad is going to know something about what it is. Meaning, we're not just going to send this thing to them and say, fill it out. Okay? So it would be good to have a paragraph box at the top that just summarizes what the salesperson said. This is not a sales tool. The sale has to be done before the guy fills out the order form. One of the biggest mistakes that new salespeople make is they think the contract, they think the order form is a sales document. It's not. You don't pull that out till the guy says, I want it.
Yeah.
Okay, then he doesn't care what it says. If a guy is not sold and you pull out the contract, he wants to read the contract, right? And then he's going to look at the contract and say, do I want to sign this? If a guy is sold, they don't care what the contract says. How do I know? When's the last time anybody ever downloaded or subscribed to a new app on the computer? Agreed to a license agreement.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a contract. How many people have ever read the thing on the internet that you have to agree to? Okay, one person. Okay, people don't read them. Okay, people don't read them because it comes down to, if you want to use our service, you have to agree. We're not going to negotiate with you. We're not going to go back and forth. We're not going to explain it to you. If you want to use it, just click I agree. If you don't, don't. So don't use things like order forms as sales agreements. Okay, but we're going to move on here. Would you like to buy one of our books? Well, I would move that one to the bottom. Would you like to advertise in our book? Yes, no. $50, 1 page and 100 books. Okay, there's a description. Now I'm going to click over here where it's blank dollars, and here's the problem. I can click right over here, dollars blank other donation. I can click here, but I can't do anything. I can't write anything in. I can't type anything. There is one of the choices, what is it? I think it's multiple choice or it's something. One of them has a choice of other.
The one with the dots.
Somebody go on Google Forms and find out what choice that would be. When you're creating a form, when you can choose text, paragraph text, checkbox, multiple choice, choose from list, one of those gives you the choice of, if you check that, it comes up and it says other.
Oh yeah, it is multiple.
Okay, other, and you can fill in the box. So that was a good idea, but the form isn't right. Okay, so name, shipping address, telephone number, email address, comments. Okay, they did a good job to make sure there was no grammatical or punctuation or spelling errors in there. Right. Okay, now comments, though, should have been paragraph text, not text. Okay, that should have been a bigger box. Okay, but it's a simple form. This doesn't give the guy a lot of choices on what to do. For example, what about color? What does the guy do with his artwork? How does he, what else does he need to do? How do I pay? You know, there's those issues. Okay, let's move on to the next one. The next one is by
Are you
yes, David and Matt. Okay. Okay, so again, we start out aesthetically, it looks good. It's got some books in there. Okay, we have limited choice. I know if they had a choice of new-looking books versus ratty-tatty books, they would have chosen new, good-looking books or the book, right? The book. They would have a picture of the book.
Ideally, it would have been a picture of our book.
Yeah. I think there is a way in forms that you can, yeah, you can put pictures in. Okay, there's a way that you can do that. We didn't talk about it, but there is a way. Rob did it on the PAR when he created the PAR thing. Now, the good news is there's a link in here. So this starts out with a link to the website. That's right here. That's right here. Now, let's see what happens if I click it.
Well, yeah, but I didn't know. You're going to get to the Gladys website.
Well, that part's okay. Except I didn't.
Oh, it did when I tried it.
Yeah. That might be for a different problem. But, okay, what I was checking to see is did it open a new tab? And the good news it did, because it's a very frustrating thing. If you're on a tab and you click a link and it changes where you were.
You lose your information.
Okay? Because then people who are not really computer savvy, it's, well, where did my form go? Okay, they don't know that maybe you can just hit the back button, go back. Sometimes you can't always do that. So they don't know about that. So it starts out with a description. Is an extension of the belief that society is obligated to do that. Okay. Okay, good. So last name. Name of individual, placing where first name.
My thought on all that individual / business and places where it says that is that if an individual person who doesn't own a business or have a business wants to advertise, like in high school yearbooks, how you get parents to pledge for their kids.
Okay.
And it says, in memory of Fluffy. Or
Sure.
Congratulations, Joanne.
Right. And so that's a decision that we have to make. Do we want businesses or anybody?
Well, and I left it open for both.
Okay. Now, so it's good that it's last name, first name. I think a more friendly way would be first name, then last name. Okay? Because I don't call you Gibbon, right? I call you Matt. It just makes you want people to feel like we're part of the family. That's just a minor little thing. Now, getting to punctuation, what now happens on the third line?
Well, yeah, I didn't use that. We didn't use it.
No, what happens, how did you change this up on the third line?
Oh, I don't know what the correct grammar
Well,
is.
it doesn't matter, but you started capital, first letter of.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
That's my fault. I didn't put a capital in there.
Then, for the next two, you don't have capital, but when it goes back to business name, it's capitalized again.
Yeah.
Again, I just want to drive home the point. It's easy to miss those, but when you see it for the first time, it pops right out.
Yeah.
When you're filling out the form, it's boom, it's right there, and then that starts chewing away at credibility.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Phone number, business name, business advertiser address. Okay. City, state. Okay, now. Okay, good. This has all of the states in it. There's a drop-down box for state. So if we go here, zip code, number of advertisements per book. Good. So here, extra credit because there's a, what was this thing called? This, not scale.
Yeah, they do call this scale.
Okay, this is called scale. So it makes it easy to pick how many you want. And then we have another one that is is this multiple choice or choose from a list? No, multiple choice. Okay, good. And you notice you can only pick one. You cannot pick two things. You can't say I want 100 books and I want 1,000 books.
It's one of the.
Okay, so that's good. At this stage, just as a flipping over to if we're going to use this for the business as opposed to is this the best form, I would say I would ratchet it down to 100 books, 200 books, 500 books to get it down to
It's in my nature to think larger a lot.
Yeah.
To get people to,
No, I
encourage
understand.
people to feel the same way.
True. Okay, so that's good. And so now what's missing on here? What if I say yes, then what? Okay.
We've got a link at the bottom. All our
Okay, so that's what about pain?
Well, that's why I asked you the question. I wasn't really sure, and I figured since there would be a person there that we would address
Okay.
that then.
Okay, so
I'd throw in a link to
now switch over to your mind that we're creating a database. We don't want to, any information that we can capture, we want to capture. And if the simple principle is, it's like what's one of Newton's laws of motion. An object in motion will tend to stay in motion unless acted upon by some equal and opposing force. Okay? So here, once a guy's checking boxes and he's doing things, it's easier to get him to keep going. And the more information we have, the more valuable it becomes. In your books, you should have the Metcalfe principle on your symbol thing, on one of your first pages. What's the value of a network? Well, part of what creates value in a network is how much information you have on your customers. So the more information we can get, the better. And the more information we can get from the person, the better. And oftentimes people feel like, Rob, how did you feel when you filled out that PAR test thing the other day, when it was so long? It was like it was long, but did you feel it was more thorough than if there were 10 questions?
Yeah, it's very.
Okay, so oftentimes, even though people have a little bit of pain of I have to answer a lot of questions, that also makes them feel there's more value and it's better. You get that? Everybody get that?
Yeah, I get it.
Okay, and so when we look at some of the medical forms, that should be a thing. The sign-in sheet, that should be a thing too. Okay, one second. That should be a thing too that should be incorporated into the forms. That principle that a little bit of pain is okay if the benefit outweighs the pain. Okay, I'd like to only answer one question. You know, in fact, I don't want to answer any questions. I don't know why it can't be like the old days where I just told the girl at the front desk, right, why I was here. Why do I even have to do anything? But if people get, okay, well, I have to do this, but then they come to the conclusion of, I'm glad I did. You know, with my kids, the thing is going to the dentist. They hate going to the dentist, but they're always glad the day after they went. Okay? They're not glad before they go, they're not glad while they go, they're not glad on the drive back. But they're glad they went the day after. And that should be the same thing with the form. You don't have to be happy to fill out the form if, at the end, the benefit outweighed the burden. Okay? Yeah, it took me 5 minutes to fill out the form, but you know what? I feel I gave them all of the information that they needed to know. So when I go into that doctor, he has information on what's going on. I don't have to go through it again of, well, why are you here? Okay? So, Gabby, yes.
Did you say we each read something on our important thoughts, and what was it?
Well, in your important thoughts, there's a not important thoughts in the page that has the symbols.
Okay.
One of them is something, I think it's number 6.
The V equals into?
Yeah.
Metcalfe principle?
Yeah, the Metcalfe principle. That applies here. The value of a network is equal to the square of the number of nodes. The value times the square of the number of nodes. So you want to create value as much as possible. Even if you have a pizza parlor or if you have a landscaping company, you want to make sure that the value of every customer is the most it can possibly be. And part of the way you create value is to have information and knowledge. And I think everybody's heard the expression, knowledge is what? Power. Knowledge is power. Information is valuable. The more information you have on your customers, the more knowledge you have about your customers, the more valuable that customer is, or the more valuable your company is because you have information on your customers.
I'm sorry, Director, one more time. The V equals N squared is
Value.
Okay, so Metcalf principle, value equals times the number of nodes squared, times the number of nodes squared. So that's the value of
Value
1,
equals the number of nodes.
value of 1. Okay, what is a node? Who knows what a node is?
Man, that was my next one.
Okay. A node is a unit. So if you're in the business of like cable TV, a node is a customer. How many set-top boxes do you have out? Those are nodes. Oh, you've got 250,000. If you're Dish Network, it's how many satellite dishes do you have? Those are nodes. If you are a barber, huh?
Is that an abbreviation for something?
No. If you're a barber and you're saying, what's the value? On the Metcalf principle, what's the value of your business as a barber? You have a barber shop.
Yeah.
A node is a regular customer.
So why would you square it? Because that's how many people are you're going to.
Oh, that just comes to value, but that's on something else. So we'll talk about that later. So this form is good. There's a couple grammatical things. There's a couple things that are really good. Okay. There's a couple things that are really good that showed you're using forms to the way you can use it.
Everybody needs to refresh it.
Okay, let's see. I'm going to go back up to the top.
Hit refresh.
And we're going to go and look at some in Long Beach.
Good.
Did everybody share theirs with the circle?
No, we're still
Because
missing
I can't
one.
see.
Did I share mine with the circle? Because I don't know if on that I can share with the circle, like when my circle comes up, or do I have to check the box? Because I just shared mine with Ed.
Okay, we're going to look at Phyllis.
Share it. Was mine on yours?
Yeah.
So I did. I don't know. That's all I know. I think maybe two.
Well, we'll talk about that later. Right now, I want to keep focused on forms. Okay, so here is Phyllis's form in Long Beach. I mean, sorry, Santa Fe Springs.
Now I got it.
You share it publicly, it'll show everyone.
Okay, so everybody should go back, edit your event, share it publicly. Okay, so here is.
Ed,
Yes.
the form for Phyllis is a group of 4.
Okay, good. Phyllis is part of a group of 4, and my hunch is their initials are PCVG, and one of them is Victoria.
No.
Oh, got me. Okay, good. All right, so let's look at this form. Okay, so who is it? Phyllis?
Phyllis, Caroline, Vicente, and Graciela.
Okay, beautiful. Okay, so let's look at this form. Good starting point that the text in the top is larger than the rest of it. That's good. Good starting point. Today's date. Good, nice and clear. Use of color. Nice box. Arrival time. Okay, good. Except not necessary. Why?
It automatically records your
Right, because it's going to put a timestamp. This might be changed to appointment time. So then they can go back and look to see, are people arriving early? Are people arriving late? Are people arriving on time? What should we do? Okay, now if we go to the date button, this thing here should have been in calendar mode on forms.
There you go.
Okay, so in forms, one of the choices, instead of a text box, you could have had a calendar there, and that would have pulled up the calendar. Now, the reason that's important is because when you have a spreadsheet and you're sorting, some people are going to say, for today's date, they're going to say May 15, 2014. Other people are going to say May 15. Other people are going to say 5-15-14. Other people are going to say 5-15-2014. Other people are going to say 5 hyphen. Other people are going to say 05-15. And so the problem is when you don't use the date function, what happens is when you try to sort things by date, you don't actually get them right. Because if people enter it the way they want to enter it, it gets screwed up. And so similar to that is on the state. When you put in the state, you should always have a drop-down box, or, well, for the state, a drop-down box. But whenever you have something for date, always use the form date function. Okay, arrival time, good. Okay, good. So now I'm looking to see if everything has a colon after it, and it appears that everything does. So that's good. If we had somebody here who was involved in colors, what would they say about the color red? Is it a soothing color?
No.
No, so it's not really a good color. So something like a green, shades of green would have been better colors. I know we don't have a lot of options. Green doesn't turn out well when you're putting in dates and things like that. So that's just a little thing to know. Date of birth, that should also be a date function. Current address and telephone number. Now here, this is how you could win this form. Somebody could win this form as if at the top they had a thing that said new patient or existing patient. And you used it and you went to, if you said new patient, and then you had another page because you have an option in, I think it's multiple choice, that it says, and it will go to another page.
Oh, right.
Okay, so this is an advanced feature, but this will be a learning experience. If it starts out name, or it starts out existing patient, new patient. Yes, Crystal?
In their instructions on the posting that you gave them, you said for an established patient. So that's why no one put anything.
Okay, all right. Okay, good. Thank you for clarifying that. There was something in the back of my mind that made me think about that.
No problem.
So now what I would have done is had a box that said, have you changed any of your address, phone address, any of your contact information changed? Okay, so I'll go back to where I was heading. And so it would have been, yeah, if yes, go to page 2. If no, keep going. What?
Come closer so you can hear you. Well then, why are you gonna complain then? If you don't want to say it. Go online.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Scott is talking. Scott is talking.
I haven't been talking to you.
Oh, no, I have noticed you've been talking. You've been talking about other things. Okay, so, yes,
Ed, can you see me now?
go ahead.
Yeah, that's why we, because if you had a change of address, you would be speaking of your current address.
Okay, say that one more time.
I said that's why it states current, because you're talking about the present time. So if you
Correct,
your address,
right. No, I understand that, but if it's an existing patient, they already have the person's current address. Ideally, you only want them to fill in the information if it's changed. Right? No, I know it says current. I know exactly what it says. I'm now in the position of the person filling it out. I'm an existing patient. They already have my current address. I should only have to fill it in if I change my address. So for the future, the way you would do this, and this is a kind of an advanced feature in forms, you'd ask a question. Has your contact information changed? If they say no, you go to the next question. If they say yes, it goes to a different page and it says, what's your updated information? And it could include email, phone number. And so the idea is, for the person in the lobby, they don't want to think of, what are these people, stupid? They already have my
The
information.
current information could be wrong.
But just to mention that many people don't remember previous addresses or what information they put at their last visit or, you know,
Okay, I agree with you. That's a good point.
current, because that means is the present information that they have available. Because there are many people who actually move a lot, or their telephone numbers changes, their contact information changes, and now with cell phones, it's more that happens more often than previously.
Okay, I hear you. I hear you. So then what I would do is I would change it to say, has your current information changed or are you unsure? Okay?
I think it will match.
Because people that are sharp,
Okay.
you don't want them to think, why do I always have to enter my address in? I've been at the same place for 10 years.
Some people don't move.
Some people don't move, but some people don't remember. That was the point. Some people don't remember what they put. And so instead of forcing everybody to always have to enter their current information, a better way to do it would be to say, did your information change or are you not sure, and give them the opportunity to change it. Now, moving on, what you did that was good is you didn't require them to fill that out. In the past, we would have some people do the must answer, check the little box, forcing people every time they went in, they had to put their information. And if you use the advanced function where if you answer yes, it goes to a new page, your form looks a lot smaller and simpler. In other words, it doesn't have, this many questions. It only has, it looks like it has this, but if you say yes here, it goes to page 2.
Yeah.
Okay?
You say yes on this third, fourth question, we'll go to page.
Patient's name, date of birth, current address, type of coverage. Okay, that's good. Purpose of visit. Now, under type of coverage, what are the different types of coverage? What does that mean
State,
for them? In California, what did you mean by types of coverage?
Well, I think they could have silver, bronze, platinum, gold. They could have Kaiser, they could have Presbyterian, Medicare, HMO, Blue Cross.
Okay, so could that be put into a drop-down box?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Because again, what you want when you get your ultimate database and you want to sort, you don't want to have the sort screwed up because people enter the information in different ways. Like you don't want some people to say Kaiser and other people to say HMO or whatever Kaiser is. Okay, or HMO Kaiser, Kaiser HMO. You don't want that. Okay? But otherwise, this form looks good. This is the leading form in Santa Fe Springs now. Okay, who else do we have in Santa Fe Springs?
Ladies in blue.
Which one?
Ladies in blue.
Oh, I saw that yesterday. Yeah. That's Victoria's.
That's Victoria, correct. I'm not the only one. There's 5 of us.
Did you do Larson Medical Center? Ed, you could do the Larson Medical Center. I seen that one scrolling on when you were scrolling.
Okay. Tell me when you see it. Oh, here it is.
Right there. I don't know. He has to. He probably might have to. Who?
Okay, so the starting point is the color. Again. So now we're color. Okay. Nice colors. I know there wasn't a lot of choices. The flowers are friendly, right? People like flowers, or at least the kind of people you'd want as patients. You'd want them to like flowers, right?
Yeah.
So they probably didn't have any other color other than red. But Okay, Larson Medical Center, good, good that it's large, like that. Team 3 Amigos, okay, good. Patient questionnaire. Name, last name, first, okay, that's fine, but again, when you sort, you don't want things to get sorted differently. If somebody says last name, comma, first name, last name, dash, first name, etc., the trade-off is you have 2 boxes. I would go with the 2 boxes, even though it's a little bit more work. Also, when you do this, people might say, like for me, I might say last name, should I put in my official first name? Should I put Edward? Should I put Ed?
Yeah.
Okay, what should I put there? And again, when you sort, if one day I push Ed and the other day I push Edward, I type in Edward, it's not going to be, it's going to look like it's different people. It might be out of order.
Can you put 2 boxes in one on one line?
No.
You're trying to say
No.
that
Today's date,
ill people are
good. So you did use, here they use the calendar function. So if I click on that, it comes up with the calendar. But unfortunately, it's good that you use that, but remember the timestamp is going to have the date and time they showed up. So that's an unnecessary box, but it's good that you use that date of birth. Okay, that's good. Last 4 of Social Security number, that's good. Medical record number.
Is this form for the customers? Or
Yeah, this
for
is when you
the
come into the lobby. It's the patient questionnaire. Medical
ill, but I'm-
record number. I don't know. How do I know what that is?
And if I'm ill, you're gonna really fill all this out.
Well, if it takes 3 to 5 minutes. But people who go to a doctor's office are usually not there for emergency.
Yeah.
Okay, primary doctor's name. Okay, that's good, but what should this have been? This should have been a drop down. Okay, it's not Dr. Bob
Dr. Bill.
or Bob. It's whatever his official name is on the door. But you wouldn't expect people are going to say, type out his whole name. So again, when you do a sort on your spreadsheet, it's going to come up out of order. But that was a good question. What type of regular exercise do you perform? Okay, good. What is your height? Okay, now that's an interesting thing. Those 2 questions are interesting because I think they still are going to weigh you and measure you when you go in. Those could be good because you're bringing awareness to the person beforehand. You have to fill it in. If you don't fill it in, you might say, I don't really want to know. When they go weigh you, your attitude is, I'm not listening. I don't want to hear you. And I'm not going to look.
Or some people are going to lie about their weight.
Well, you can lie, but here it says, what is your weight? You say it's 110.
Yeah.
It's really 210.
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody might say, you might think, well, they might say something if I put in a number that's just so far out of reality.
Well, they always weigh you.
Reasons for your visit. Okay, good. Now that probably should be a paragraph 1. Place a check in the box that applies to you. Okay, good. Now, are these things good? So you can check all of them. You can check as many as you want. Good. That was probably extra points unless you're able to get something off the internet to come up with all of this long list, unless somebody brought it in. Okay, next question, good.
Would it be better to put that list like in
Surgical
alphabetical order?
procedures, good. For females only. Now, here, for these questions, I would have done the same type of thing. Have any of these, anything changed from your last visit? Any updates from your last visit? And they only fill this out if anything has changed.
Or could you go to male or female and then go to another page for female instead of having that big long page?
Okay. Now, okay, so this doesn't have a male, but if you had a male, that would be another checkbox.
Yeah, you can male or female. If it's female, it goes to another page.
Okay. Now,
So it ain't all on one page.
okay, I like this. Matthew said ask about hospitalization. I like this form. This is the leading form. It just was pointed out to me that we are over time. Monday, we're going to continue on this. Okay, because forms is very important. We're going to do forms again next week. So everybody gets to do a new form because forms are really that important.
Yeah, they are.
People, when you go to work, everybody knows what a map is, everybody knows what a calendar is, everybody knows what Gmail is. Okay? Everybody has filled out a form, but most people can't make a form. This is a valuable skill to take in your interview. Under the heading, knowledge is power. Okay?
Not only on the making form, that was valuable information if you're telling me how to put it.
And so we'll pick up with Santa Fe Springs on Monday, first thing. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice weekend in California.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Wait.
They don't go to,
That's
they
a
don't
great
go,
time.
they don't go to
So-
schools on
So when we do submit